Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Raw Afrigo podcast. I am your host, Raphael, aka Ronin Rafa. So I'd recorded earlier, and due to technical difficulties, this is the episode you're getting. And unfortunately, I've not been able to give you guys 1 minute updates as I've been doing previously, and I apologize for that. I wasn't feeling too well, and that's why you've not been getting episodes as I usually do. So sorry about that. I'll make sure to return back to regular schedule from tomorrow. So let's jump in quickly without wasting your time. Thank you for your support to everyone who's been watching the videos, giving me likes and comments. I appreciate that. I appreciate your support from everywhere. Can't thank you enough. So we're at round of 16. I can't, we're not going to jump back. We'll just go forward. So for the round of 16, um, what I'm going to do is this. Right from the beginning of AFCON, my biggest concern was with the 7 participants that we'll be having at the 2026 World Cup. And first of all, Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to 2026. Yeah, you're here, you made it. So Happy New Year to each and every one of you and to your loved ones. So, where did I stop? Yes. My biggest concern was with the 7 representatives that will be having, well, technically 8, because we have DR Congo that I believe will be joining in March or be confirming their spot in March. So there's teams that have media love. They are not, their criticisms are, there are teams that, didn't qualify but are well liked, like Nigeria, even to an extent Cameroon. So, what are supposed to be strengths and weaknesses? Nobody talks about the weaknesses. Everybody just focuses on the strengths. I get it. But I keep telling people that if you want to address if you are going to be honest and you're giving proper criticisms, then do it. So let's focus on the teams that are the World Cup participants. First, in the knockout rounds, we have Senegal taking on Sudan. Senegal has been one of the best performers, if not if not the best performers so far in the tournament. And people will be like, "Oh, they don't have 3 wins." So 3 wins doesn't mean anything. If you know AFCON history, 3 wins doesn't guarantee you the trophy. Most teams that win 3 matches in the group stage rarely win the tournament. It's on few occasions that teams that win all 3 group stage, the 3 matches in their group stage, end up winning the competition. So Senegal not winning the 3 groups, the 3 group matches doesn't is not a problem. However, the performances is where we need to focus on. And what interested me about Senegal is that their starting 11, first of all, performed very strongly. And based on the opponent that they faced, there was a certain performance that showed that Senegal could take the game here. It's like they start here, and whoever they're facing is like here. So they're already higher than you. And then if the team they're facing ups tries to take the performance to another level, to a higher level, they can actually, you see, so like against DR Congo, you saw that Senegal took their level to to a higher level, especially after DR Congo scored first. Then you saw Senegal just upped their performance, and I was like, oh, take note of that. Most commentaries seem to skip over that and just, oh, Senegal was shaking DR Congo. And I was like, people just remember that. They upped it. And then when it seemed like, okay, 1-1 is a good result, then they slowed down. And I was like, that is a sign there that this team can hurt anybody if they want to. And then their bench, those young guys coming from their bench, they don't, when they introduce them, they don't slow the tempo down. They actually up the tempo. They up the tempo, and that's where Senegal is very dangerous. Sudan has been a good representative of this tournament. They actually overachieved. So, congratulations, Sudan. I don't think you're going past this level. So, back to World Cup teams. Tunisia against Mali. It's the game that everybody expects Mali to win. Most people don't like Tunisia, especially in the media spaces. There's a huge anti-Tunisian sentiment. I don't get it. Tunisia is a team that does the hard work, always qualifies. I have huge respect for Tunisia. I love how they always do the hard work. They always find a way to make it. And for some reason, I think that makes them not a darling of people. They're like, oh, Tunisia should give way to other teams. Like, why? They have a strong domestic football. They do the work that big teams in West Africa don't want to do. All they focus on is academies, 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 and don't build infrastructure. Tunisia does that. It's not sexy for most people. Somebody who claims he spent $333 million to renovate a stadium, not build a new stadium. Well, you could have had a domestic league right there, but never mind. You want to defeat France on social media. Go ahead. So let's focus on the football. Tunisia's performance in the group stage was hot, cold, lukewarm. And everybody focuses on the cold, especially. But even in the cold, which was against Nigeria, they approached that game wrong. I don't know if it's because they had this is their first team in a long time that had diaspora, the recruitment from diaspora, which is a lot of good talent, by the way, starting, and they just showed Nigeria so much respect, sat back, they didn't want to attack, just let Nigeria hurt them. And this Nigerian team, that's what they love. They love teams that are afraid of them, that treat them like they're the teams from the 90s, not the current team. But if you watch the World Cup qualifier, AFCON qualifiers, in the past 5 years, 6 years, any teams like Sierra Leone scoring 4 goals against this the current iteration of Nigeria, teams that a lot of smaller teams and quote unquote smaller teams. There's no small team in Africa football, by the way. Most teams aren't scared of Nigeria. When you take the game to Nigeria, they collapse. And in 15 minutes, Tunisia proved that. In 15 minutes, Tunisia showed what they could do. However, in their last group stage game, I think the players were just kind of, do we really need to hustle that hard? And maybe that's what you get when you bring in, there's so much dependence on diasporan talent. You need to find that balance. Maybe that's what the South Africa doesn't suffer from. And Egypt, on the other hand, doesn't have that problem. Morocco seems to have found that balance. Algeria doesn't have that problem. They found that balance. Senegal figured it out. So find that balance, because I was surprised with the way Tunisia played in their last group stage game. And that's why their fans were booing them. So find that balance, Tunisia. Um, Against Mali, anything can happen. That game is 50-50. Mali, on the other hand, they haven't shown that they know how to score goals. They still suffer from that problem of typical number 9. So if the game ends up in penalty shootouts, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. They have a strong midfield. They had it under Eric Schell last AFCON. Now with Thomas Saintfield, who's better at organizing his defense. It's not a surprise, to be honest. It's not. So we'll see. Morocco against Tanzania. I mean, come on, this is straightforward. Tanzania has not won a game this Tanzania is building for 2027, where they are one of the co-hosts. They have a better league, better football infrastructure in comparison to Uganda and Kenya, their fellow co-hosts. So all eyes on Morocco. So much pressure on Morocco. A lot of media are pushing for Regragui to be fired. I do hope he can win this tournament, to be honest. I'm cheering for him. And if he happens to win this tournament, if I were Regragui, I will step down. If he wins the AFCON, if I were him, I will step down. That's it. I've won. I took you guys to the semi-final. I won the AFCON. I'm out. Bye. You put the coaches that you want. Go coach. That's it. So I want him to win. That's why I'm cheering for Morocco. And also because Morocco has done what they've done is a lesson to other African countries. Stop ruling for social media. Do what you should do. If you should, nobody stopped you from building hospitals. Nobody stopped you from building stadiums. Nobody stop you from building infrastructure. Spend the money on your country. Spend the money in your country. Spend the money because if you have a solid league for both men and women, it's your economy that benefits. It's not somebody else's economy. And everybody, Morocco wins. And if Morocco is winning, your next door neighbor wins actually. So I don't know why people can't put on. Everybody has social media, but instead people go and be hating on Morocco. So I want Morocco to win, and honestly, and I'm cheering for them. So I expect Morocco to beat Tanzania, and they're actually doing well. It's not like they've played badly, but people just, oh my god, it's tiring. Now, one game that I'm looking forward to is South Africa against Cameroon. South Africa hasn't played poorly. However, they've struggled. Now, they've been highly criticized, but not like the way Morocco has been criticized or Tunisia, which are different, but there's an agenda against, especially Morocco. But when it comes to South Africa, people seem to skip over that they were in a group with mostly Southern African teams, and then an Egypt, which is not a cheap group, but everybody expects South Africa to just whoop those teams, like wow, walk over them. They had to face two Southern derbies. When you're playing derbies, it's different. The rules are out the window. They still won the derbies, but the rules are out the window. A derby is a derby. It's not the same. Form doesn't matter in a derby. Teams are more motivated to beat you in a derby. And sometimes it works. You might win 4-0, and sometimes you end up winning by only one goal, which happened in South Africa. Angola was far better than South Africa in the first half, and then the second half, South Africa was the better team. However, one thing that has disappointed me in the commentary from African sporting media and sporting media in general when it comes to the African teams is that I'd rather our teams, by our, I mean the African teams, going to the World Cup, struggle right now, have identified issues that need to be fixed right now than the summertime. That's one advantage of playing AFCON before the World Cup. Notice the issues that need to be fixed in a tournament so that when you go to a quote unquote bigger tournament in the summer, you have hopefully addressed those issues. But none of that seems to be a point. Everybody just like, oh, South Africa should be perfect. How can you lose to Egypt? Well, Egypt, you always saying Egypt was trash. Egypt, and then now Egypt seems to be finding his foot. So I'm okay with South Africa being the way it is, but a big good test is against Cameroon. And if they lose, it's not the end of the world because they have a solid coach in Hugo Bruce. He's one of the few non-African coaches doing the right thing, building a solid foundation for the country that they're in charge of. And I'm I'm glad to see somebody like that, and I'm okay with people like that being in charge of an African country, because when you hear him speak, you know that this man truly cares about the team that he's coaching, and he's not about, oh, only a European must take over from me, like many other people who we love. He's about the South African should take over from him, and he's been laying that foundation also. So it's important to allow South Africa struggle if they have to struggle, and see where they go. But it doesn't mean they failed just because they lost to a Cameroon that's on the rise right now, and they have a fantastic coach in David Pago, who nobody knew. But it also shows why it's important to have a functioning league, a professional league in your country, because he's a product of the league in Cameroon. And everything I heard about him in Cameroon, he's lived up to that, because he got to excel in Cameroon. And there are many countries in Africa that are big countries where are the coaches coming out of those countries. It's hard for us to, yeah, it's hard for us to see people like David Pago. So shout out to David Pago with what he's doing in Cameroon, and yeah, he's proving himself. So that's a watch out. Sorry, a standout game to watch out for, Cameroon against South Africa. Egypt against Benin. Uh, Egypt hasn't considered a goal. I don't think they will consider a goal in this game based on how Benin has played in the group stage. Benin did not look like a team that knows how to score a goal on target, except except Egypt concedes a penalty or a set piece, like a free kick, direct free kick, maybe, and even the way Benin has been shooting from afar. So solid job Egypt has been doing. El Shanawi has proved me wrong. I wasn't sure based on how he performed in the first game. I was like, he might still be a weakness. Uh, Hopefully, this is not the game where he decides to say, hey, I'm going to prove Rafa that I'm the weakness. So, El Shanawi, keep doing your thing and proving me wrong, that I was wrong to name you the weakness for this Egyptian team. I like seeing Egypt excel. So, yeah, they're the main team of AFCON. And I like seeing Mo Salah shine too. So he deserved for how Liverpool has been treating him. They always you use Africans to shine, to get high, and then we'll throw you out the window. Got some young boys from Europe. So Algeria against DR Congo. Algeria is another team that has been solid, and they were, well, they're interesting because I won't say solid like Senegal. It's a different type of solid. But what took their performance to solid for me was their third game against Equatorial Guinea, one of my favorites. Unfortunately, this tournament has been rough for them, and I hope they bounce back. But their third game, Algeria's third game against Equatorial Guinea, Algeria actually played the younger guys, like complete most of the starting levels, like the bench, the vast majority of the bench, and I think maybe one or two of the I think Ole Bentaleb. Yeah, Ole Bentaleb, and then Mendy had to come in for an injured player, and yeah, an injured center back, unfortunately for the gentleman, and those young boys really showed up, especially that first half. They were they were on fire, and I love to see that they actually played far better than the first two performances from the established players on the team, and that showed that Algeria, kind of like Senegal, had a squad of young talent that was hot. So that was very good to see. And against DR Congo, that game is not a failure. Whoever ends up on the losing side, Should Algeria lose? I know Algerian media is it's another crazy media. They don't like the coach. Yeah, I'm not. He's not Algerian. He's not African. So I've been. I'm not 100%. I won't be crazy if they fire him. However, I see what he's building, so I wouldn't be in a hurry to fire him, except you have a better replacement. If you bring in a better replacement who's local, all right. But I wouldn't say fire him just because he lost to a DR Congo. Now, if a DR Congo loses to Algeria, I wouldn't fire their coach either. DR Congo, other than their game against Senegal, I think that was their. I won't. That wasn't a bad performance even, but Senegal is far superior. That's just it. They're far superior than DR Congo, and that's no shame. There's no shame there. DR Congo, they were better than everybody they faced. The first game against Benin, I thought they could have been they should have done better after they scored an early goal, took advantage of a defensive error, and then they let Benin into the game. Other than that, it was first game, so I thought, okay, first game, all right. Other than that, they 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 ended up strongly. They put up a strong fight against Senegal, but Senegal. So this game will be a good test for both teams, Algeria and DR Congo. I think this will be a stronger technical battle between Algeria and I don't think it will be as exciting as the South Africa Cameroon game because that game will be two exciting styles of play that will be attacking each other. They both attack, but it's a different style in at flow, but it's African coming at each other. So I don't know how to put it, but it's something that we need. The Algeria against DR Congo is very European in African bodies. In that, why am I blanking on Algeria's coach's name? He used to coach Switzerland, and I think in a game like this, you will see that he will approach it from a technical point of view, and DR Congo might do the same thing, and it will probably be a 1-0 game or 1-1 goes into extra time. So that's what I see that. Um, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, La Cote d'Ivoire, the defending champion against Burkina Faso. Cote d'Ivoire has been another team that's impressed me. First game, they showed that 1-0 magic where they score first. Good luck. You don't score against them. And then the jinx was broken in the second game and the third game. During World Cup qualifying, nobody could score against Cote d'Ivoire, Africa's defender, the AFCON defending champion. And then Cameroon scored against them. After Cote d'Ivoire scored, they literally just went back and equalized a few minutes later. And then against Gabon, Cote d'Ivoire literally changed the whole, okay, except for Frank Kessié, their captain, they changed the 10 players. A lot of the young kids came in and they were down 2-0. It was like 15 minutes into the game, and I was like, oh, it's starting to look good for the defending champions. Like Gabon's on their way out of the tournament, and Gabon's like, I'll take you down. And those boys came back and won the game 3-2. Now that looks like a champion to me. And that looks like a team that's going to the World Cup. And those young boys look deadly. Now, why do I say they impressed me? Cote d'Ivoire's problem seemed to be in number 9. Bayo, who had been starting, he was missing some sitters. Amad Diallo, who's been one of the best players of this tournament, he was dropping some chances on for Bayo. Just hit the target at least. Make the goalkeeper make a save, and Bayo would just miss it. And I was like, oof, how will miss Sebastian Haller? And Sebastian Haller picked up an injury just on the eve of the tournament. So it was an opportunity for the younger strikers to be like, hey, I'm available, I can score. And none of them seemed to stand up. And that third game, Crasso, I believe that's how his name is pronounced. He finally stepped up, and the young man who came from the bench also stepped up. And I was like, I feel so bad for Bayo because he didn't play that game. And the other two strikers were like, we can score. And then the younger man who scored the winner, too, much younger lad. And I was like, yeah, Bayo might be going way back. You might be pushed way back. So La Cote d'Ivoire, they look like a team going to the World Cup. They seem, I think, in friendly matches, they don't take friendly matches serious. They don't, none of them know take show up for friendly matches. But tournament, something switches on in them, and I like seeing that in a team that's going to the World Cup. Like they want to play AFCON, and they want to play the World Cup. They'll beat. I don't think they will suffer. They will. I don't think they will lose to Burkina Faso. No offense, Burkina Faso, but Burkina Faso and Mali, they are like twins. Putting the ball in the net seems to be a problem against certain teams. And then they beat the teams that when they face big opponents, it's over for them. So I expect La Cote d'Ivoire to win. The only knockout game that's against that doesn't have World Cup teams facing each other is Nigeria against Mozambique. Every game Mozambique played in the group stage was an exciting match. If Mozambique knocks out Nigeria, I will not be surprised. Now Nigerians going to get mad. Yeah, Nigerians always think they own the internet, and I get it. But I was born and raised in Nigeria. I've seen much better Nigerian teams. That 15 minutes, last 15 minutes of Tunisia versus no Nigeria versus Tunisia in the group stage showed Nigeria's weaknesses. If you are not, if you don't sit back and allow Nigeria to just come at you, you go at them, the Nigeria defense collapses. It does. The Bali, he was dropping the ball. That man can't stand pressure. So Mozambique, in all their three games, did not just give up. Even against Cote d'Ivoire, they kept coming, but Cote d'Ivoire just overwhelmed them. So, and Cote d'Ivoire played much better than Nigeria. Will they do that? Will they do it Tunisia? Or will Mozambique do it Tunisia? I don't know. But that's the bonus side are true. Osimhen, Nigeria is all Osimhen, Lukman right now, you know. Uh Eric Shell is a midfield. He controls the midfield. That's the thing. Eric Shell's teams, the midfield, he knows how to make midfield work. Nigeria has been struggling for years with midfield, but even right now, it still doesn't have a solid midfield. So there will always be gaps. Eric Shell is fixing. He's trying to fix it, but you see the gaps. That's why when Tunisia made those few passes, there were always gaps in that midfield, and they were able to pass through. The question is, if Mozambique plays like Tunisia for the 75 minutes, Nigeria kills them. If you time it and you make your passes, you go through. Guinea for Mozambique, hey, that boy is on fire in this tournament too. So the Mozambique got players. You know, the most beautiful thing about AFCON is you don't need English Premier League players. You need players who want to win. That's all you need. So with that being said, I thank you for giving me your time. Yeah, I'll try and drop 1 minute videos during the first half and after the games tomorrow. And yeah, thank you for the privilege of your company. Keep the support coming in. Let me know if you agree with these takes or you disagree. Keep it respectful, and I will respond to you. We love AFCON. African football is the best. See you soon.